Today we're learning about the king, as well as how it moves and its value. If you haven't watched the introduction to chess video, you'll want to watch that before this one to get a better understanding of the concepts. What you'll want to remember from last time is that each piece moves in a different way and has a different value. So the king we're learning about today moves in a different way compared to the other pieces like the queen or the bishop. And because it moves in a different way, it'll have a different value compared to the other pieces. Now, you also want to remember that there's only one king on the board, and it starts on the beginning of the board on the E1 square as highlighted. Now, when you want to learn any piece, you need to know two things: how it moves and its value. So now let's learn those facts about the king. So the king is the only piece on the chessboard where we don't give a value. It's invaluable. Why? Because as we said last video, the game finishes once the king is checkmated. You don't have to know what checkmate is right now. All you need to know is that the entire game depends on the king. So when the king is checkmated, the game is over, because that's how somebody wins. So because the game depends on the king, we can't really give it a value, because the whole idea of chess is to checkmate the king. So since we don't give it a value, we just say it's invaluable. So how does the king move? The king can move one square at a time in any direction. So already we can tell that when they say one square at a time, that means that it can't move very far. So let's see on a board how that would look like. So on a regular board, this is how a king would look like. It can go any direction, so it can go front, backwards, to the side. It can go diagonal upwards the other way, and it can go diagonal left downwards and diagonal right downwards. Any direction it wants, it can go, but only one time. One square at a time. So, for example, the king wouldn't be able to just land itself on this square and move completely like this. Or it wouldn't be able to go to this square and go all the way here. Only one square at a time. So, as you can see, this is an example of all the possible king moves on a board. So this is all the types of or possible moves that the king can do at one time. So, there's another concept you'll want to remember that says each piece has the ability to capture another piece from the opponent. So that means that the king, the queen, the bishop, the knight, the rook, the pawn, any piece can take another piece from its opponent. So if you're playing white, that means you can capture another piece from black, whatever piece you're using. So using that logic, that means that the king can also capture pieces from the opponent. So for example, if we go here, imagine we're playing white. And now we have the white pieces. So as you can see, we have a king and we have a pawn. And the black pieces has a king and two pawns. So in this position, we know that pieces can capture other pieces from the opponent. So now we know all the possible king moves on the board, because we know it can go one square at a time in any direction, just like this. So these are all the possible squares our king could move to, but nothing further than this. So if I wanted to capture a piece, if I wanted to capture this pawn, I could make a journey and go to this square, and then this square, and then the pawn would be in front of me, and I could just capture it just like that. Or this pawn is a lot closer to me, so let's see how that would work. So if I want to capture this pawn, I'll go to this square, so that I'm right next to this pawn, and that I can capture it. Now remember, in chess, when you play a move, your opponent also plays a move. So let's say black doesn't move, he can do anything. So let's say he also decides to move his king, so he can move to any one of these three squares. Let's say he goes here. So then, white would be able to capture the pawn now, because the king is right next to it. It's one square at a time the king can move, and the pawn is in its scope, so we can just capture the pawn just like that. So that's basically all there is for the king.